Okay, well,
Let's see what's going on here. There we go. There you go.
What's up?
No.
Guys having trouble logging on. I don't know if Tony is problem. Dago's having the same problem. Maybe everybody else, because it's kind of hard this time.
I'm connecting. Steve.
Raul, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. There's like an echo. Well, we do have 4 people available, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started. And again, we are starting a little bit late because I think we're still having some of us having trouble logging in. But good evening, everyone.
Miss Alvarez, before we start, I think, or maybe I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know if you're the one with the echo, or is it everybody?
No, it's everybody. It sounds very bad. It's very difficult to understand.
I'm hearing an echo on everything.
Okay, so I guess because of the echo, what we will do to try to avoid any confusion or anything, I'll go ahead and read what needs to be read. And if anybody has any comments, please, or questions or anything, raise your hand so that everybody else can withhold from talking so that we can make sure that there's no overlapping when we're talking. We're going to try it. Okay, good evening, and we are about to start this meeting. It is now 5:07. And we will call this called meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Roma Independent School District being held on this Saturday, August 15th, 2020 to order. Let the record show that this meeting was duly posted according to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Agenda item number 1, roll call. Board Vice President, Mr. Juan Antonio Sainz. Board Secretary, Mr. Dagoberto Salinas.
Here, if you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Board Member, Mrs. Leticia Garza Galvan.
Here, ma'am.
Board Member, Mr. Raul P. Moreno Jr.
Here.
Board Member, Mr. Ricardo A. Perez.
Here.
Board Member, Mr. Reynaldo Rodriguez. And myself, Board President Clarissa B. Alvarez. Let the record show that a quorum is present.
And
Although member,
just a heads up, Mr. Sines is having trouble signing on.
I'll go ahead and read the notice and then we'll wait a little bit to see if he can log in. Although members are not gathered in a central physical location, let the record show that we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference. For the benefit of the members of our community who are listening to this meeting either via live or a recording, I would like to make a few announcements. In response to the coronavirus, COVID-19, I'm sorry, just taking note of when Tony logged in. In response to the coronavirus, COVID-19, on March 16, 2020, Texas Governor Greg Abbott temporarily suspended a limited number of open meetings laws. For the present time, school districts can conduct board meetings via video conference or teleconference instead of holding face-to-face meetings. To promote proper social distancing and in the interest of maintaining the safety of Roma ISD employees, parents, students, and board members, the district has elected to conduct this meeting via video conference. Let the record reflect that the district has complied with all applicable Open Meetings Act posting requirement. Notice was posted both physically and online on the Roma ISD website for more than 72 hours before this meeting. For the purpose of this meeting tonight, please be advised of the following. At tonight's meeting, board members are not gathered in a central physical location, but we do have a live quorum in attendance by video conference. Members of the board are meeting by the use of Microsoft Zoom software application. Members of the public engaging in public comments will be provided access via Microsoft Zoom to allow for two-way communication. Zoom is available for download on your computer or smartphone. All members of the public will also have live access to the meeting via a live stream feed available on the district's website. This is a remote meeting and we obviously cannot promise that these systems will be free of complications, but we generally anticipate that the systems will provide enough capacity to accommodate everyone. To avoid potential connection problems, I would also encourage all members of the public to make sure you are in a location with a secure internet or telephone signal. The district has provided notice that members of the public who wish to participate in public comments can register to do so by emailing the district in advance of the meeting. For anyone who registered in advance, you will receive an invitation to participate in the Zoom meeting at the appropriate point in the meeting, and then afforded time to provide public comments. For future meetings conducted during the present emergency, the district may also allow members of the public to submit written comments in advance, which will be read by the board secretary and into the record of the meeting. All other procedures regarding the conduct of this meeting will adhere to board adopted rules. Please be aware that a recording of this meeting will also be made available to the public as required. And if any person has any questions about these procedures associated with this board meeting, please feel free to contact the district. Agenda item number 3. I'm sorry, I think it's 2. Hold on. Uh-oh, I lost connection.
3.
Agenda item number.
Public comments first.
Agenda item number 2 is public comments.
We have none.
And we have none. And I did lose connection from where I'm reading.
We can see you, Clarissa. We can hear you.
Okay, on agenda, I don't have the agenda here because I lost it. I had it on my computer, but it is agenda item number 3. And that agenda item reads, I need to get it.
I'm gonna send it to you through text, Ms. Alvarez.
Please,
If you
thank
can
you.
get it from there, I think that's easier. Can you just confirm when you get it, ma'am, please?
Yes.
It should have been sent.
Okay, agenda item number 3 is consideration possible action on order of November 3rd, 2020 school board election. Mr. Luis Garza.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Madam President, trustees, Mr. Guzman. Before I make my presentation, I want to praise every single board member that was able to make it to this special meeting, which is on a Saturday. I really praise you and commend you and applaud you for being here. My presentation will be very, very brief. By law, we need to, the trustees have to basically approve the order of election. In this case, you're aware that we're gonna have an election November the 3rd. So at this point, respectfully asking for you to consider the order of election that I provided you on board book. There are certain items that I included in that particular order. For example, location, dates, times. So this is a recommendation. So at this point, my request is for you to consider approving that order of election. Are there any questions?
I so move to approve item number 3 as presented by Mr. Garza.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Moreno, a second by Mr. Sines. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All those
Madam President,
against? Mhm.
I'm so sorry, I had it in mute. Just for the record, Mr. Garza, and before it goes to vote, just for the audience, the election, according to this order, will be held at 703 North Gladiator Boulevard, which is the old Roma Intermediate Gym.
That is,
And-
if you all approve this, yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, and then that will be from 8 to 5 p.m. beginning on Tuesday, October the 13th, 2020. And will end on Friday, October the 30th, 2020. And that includes that third week of early voting that was being, I guess, required now by the state.
It was a proclamation by the governor. He added extra days at the beginning. So yes, ma'am, it was through a proclamation. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then there will also be a Saturday voting, Mr. Garza, and that is October the 24th, 2020. And that is from 8 to 4 p.m. also at the same location.
That is correct.
Okay, will there be any other site for early voting, Mr. Garza?
That's a good question, ma'am. And besides the days that you placed, if you look at the order also, there are 2 Wednesdays that we have from 7 to 7, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the reason that we added those extra hours is that the city of Roma requires, or the state requires that the city has to have at least 2 days from 7 to 7. And since there's a possibility that we might have an election order, an agreement between Roma ISD and the city, we want to have exactly the same day. So you didn't mention that from 7 to 7. So I just wanted to add that. Now, you're presenting a good question. Is there a possibility that we might have another site? There is a possibility that we might have another site. And if that is the case, based on the order that the county might have, I will come back and present those, that amendment for your consideration. So at this point, this is what we have. If we have to amend this order, I'll come back at a later time.
Okay, Mr. Garza, thank you for that information. Also, Mr. Garza, okay, so it's the 3 weeks, election day is not posted yet? I don't see election day anywhere.
Well, on the top, if you see election day is for the November 3rd of 2020, on the very top of the order, ma'am.
Okay, and I
So
guess
it is
that'll be
included.
different because I know that one has the 10 different sites, right?
Oh, definitely. Yes, ma'am. At that point, not 10, but it was basically 5. If the state, if the
Five, I'm
county-
sorry.
yes, if the county has 5 sites, and I can mention those sites if you wish, then we are obligated by law that we need to have those 5 sites. So at this point, I cannot say, yes, we are going to have 5 because we have to wait for the county to select those sites. And if they select those sites, then we're obligated in having those sites, ma'am.
Okay,
This is
sir,
good.
when are we, yeah, I'm sorry, yes, when are we gonna do the joint election partnership with the county? I thought we needed to do that before. And also, I know the city of Roma already approved the joint election with Roma ISD. Is that a problem since we haven't signed ours over here with the county?
No, ma'am. Every election we can select whatever entity we would like to have. In the past, we have had joint elections with the city of Escobares. Then we moved it to the city of Roma, and then the last election was with the city of, with the county. So in this particular case, in communications with the public officials from the county and also the public officials from the city, if the board approves, we will have the joint election with the city, ma'am, not with the county.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garza. Thank you for the
Anytime.
information. And sir, I know you thanked us for being here, but thank you for being here. You know, I mean, we're public officials and I guess our time is every day, but we know that your time is from 8 to 5, you know, during the school week, and for you all to be here, and this, as well for Mr. Guzman, thank you for your time.
I appreciate those comments, ma'am, but as an administrator, we work from Monday to Sunday, ma'am.
24/7.
Yes.
And I think Esther, the administrative admin, is also here, and I'd like to thank her as well, because she's not an admin, she's an administrator. She's not an administrator, I'm sorry.
Sir, Mr. Garza, before you go, going to all these dates, these are dates that are going to be verified and posted for everybody. In other words, once they're
That's yes,
agreed
yes.
upon.
Not only that, but by law, I need to publicize this. I need to place it on the paper. So at a later time, maybe next week, as soon as it's approved, I will come back. From here on, I'm going to be, I don't want to say constantly, but on a regular basis, coming to the board and presenting different items. And one of the items is posting this in the newspaper. And at that point, I'm going to ask the board for you to decide in what particular paper you want for me to post this notice, this order of election. So yes, it will be publicized by law. Also, I need to send it to the county. So the county have to post this at the county level. So to answer your question, yes, sir, it will be publicized.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Garza,
Yes, sir.
thank you for putting up your upfront your experience and your leadership. You're doing excellent, and you've always, done excellent in the past, and I think you're gonna succeed this time around also. So congratulations.
Thank you for those kind words, sir. I'll try my best.
Okay, so we have no further discussion or comments. We had a motion by Mr. Raul Moreno, a second by Mr. Tony Sines. If no discussion or comments or anything else, then we'll put it into a vote. And all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All those against. So that is 6 for it, 1 absent, and nobody abstaining. Motion passes. And for the record, Mr. Tony Sines logged in at 5:07, I believe it was. And we'll move on to agenda item number 4, employment and resignation of professionals and paraprofessionals. Mr. Guzman?
And there are no changes from board book. Any questions?
Mr.
No
Guzman,
question.
and I have one, Ms. Alvarez, I'm sorry. Mr.
Go ahead.
Guzman, just the teachers being hired, I believe two out of the 3 are for special ed. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Look, that's special ed resource, not for the unit.
Well, again, that's the intention, but the principals have the right to move those positions around. So they're special ed positions.
Okay, did the people that were there, did they resign? Did they retire? Did they get moved to another campus, or what happened to the employees that were at those campuses?
I believe one of them was transferred, requested a transfer, and those people gave, and the other one, you forgot to correct me if I'm wrong.
I can add to that. Since the end of the school year, I believe it was around March or April, I brought this to the attention of Mr. Guzman, both Guzmanes, and also Miss Melissa Galvan, that the number of students in special ed, they were increasing tremendously. In three campuses, we had basically over 40 kiddos, 40 students. So one thing that I recommended to Mr. Guzman was that it was necessary, in my opinion, to have an additional special ed teacher at the resource. And that was one of the reasons that there was one teacher that was moved from RT Barrera to that particular unit to try to have a lower ratio of special ed students in the resource, again, because they had over 40 kiddos. So the idea was to post, and we posted that position. And basically those three campuses, Roel and Celia Science, VME, and also DGG, they had the same numbers, over 40 kiddos, or close to 40 kiddos. So the idea was to add 2 resource teachers. So that was the reason that it was posted very early in the year, before the year was over. And I'm glad that Mr. Guzman basically agree with our recommendation that we needed that additional teachers. And that's why the principals were extremely happy due to the fact that we had so many kiddos, and again, we increased it by 1 in every single campus. Well, with the exception, I want to make something clear. We had an additional teacher in RT Barrera, so that teacher was moved to Roel and Celia Science. That was before the year was over. And also in RT Barrera, we had another additional teacher that was moved to, I believe it was VME, and now we added that additional teacher from DGG. And there was one teacher that was moved, yes, ma'am. There was, and I agree with Mr. Guzman. There was one teacher that requested a move, and she was interviewed by the Roma Middle School principal, and he selected that individual, and the principal from Royal and Celia, from VME, agree in releasing that individual as long as we had a replacement. So that's the history of those special ed teachers as to why we increase those numbers, ma'am.
Mr. Garza, and just for the record, these special ed teacher, the special ed resource teachers are not like the regular resource for 504. For 504, you don't have to have an additional certification. It can be just a regular ed certified EC through 6 to teach the resource. Pretty much anyone from the campus can be transferred to that area. To be able to teach special ed resource, you need to have the certification to teach special ed. Is that correct?
That is correct. For a special ed, and it depends. And here's where we have to be careful. If you are the teacher of record and you say, I'm the teacher of record, I teach special ed, then yes, that individual has to be certified in the content, in this case, EC through 6, which is the content. And when I say the content, that means that they are tested in the areas of math, science, history, social studies. I mean, they have to they have to pass that. But in addition to that, they also have to have an endorsement, and the endorsement is the special ed test. So they need to be certified in that area. If the individual is the teacher of record, and they're going to be teaching LEP students, then that individual has to have also the bilingual certification. But if the individual is not the teacher of record, meaning that those students are being pulled out from a classroom and they're basically helping out those students more like a resource, and that's why it's called a resource, because you're basically like a tutor. You're tutoring those kiddos that are struggling. So you pull them out. That individual has to be certified in the content, needs to be certified in not in bilingual, in special ed. But because those teachers are not teachers of record, it is not required. It's recommended, but it's not required to be bilingual certified now. So to answer your question, yes, they need to be certified.
Okay, and all these teachers that were hired or were moved for these special ed resource positions have their certification in special ed, or at least signed up for the courses to be able to get their certification in the near future?
If the individual is certified in the content, let's say EC through 6, but the individual does not have the bilingual supplemental, not the bilingual, excuse me, the special ed certification, then the state will allow for that individual to get an emergency permit for 1 year. And during that year, that person will be legal. But the individual has to meet a certain criteria. The individual has to be certified. That individual has to have been teaching at least for 1 year. The individual has to have registered, let's say, before I apply for that emergency permit, to take that special ed test. So for that year, that person is legal, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garza.
Anytime.
Mr. Garza, I have a question. I know you mentioned the numbers were growing, and I thank you and Mr. Guzman for looking at those numbers, and especially that department is very delicate. So thank you for your hard work, and let's just move forward with that. I mean, thank you for looking into that department.
Of course, our goal is to try to give the best education to every single student,
Of course.
from all the populations, every single
Exactly.
population. And in this case, it happens to be special ed, and the numbers they're very
We're high.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, yeah. All right.
Are there any other further questions that you think that I might be able to answer?
Thank you, Mr. Garza.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Garza,
Thank
for
you,
everything
too.
you do. I mean, I know you've been doing this for many, many years, and I'm sure it takes a lot of your time to make sure that we have the proper teachers, educators for every single group of, and at every campus, whether it be special ed or regular teachers in the classroom. I know both you, Mr. and Guzman, you and Mr. Guzman are unlimited hours at work. Whatever time I pass by in the morning, Mr. Guzman is already there. In the evenings, as late as I pass by there, Mr. Garza is there. So I know our district is very well taken care of. And thank you both and everybody else that has anything to do with administration for Roma ISD. So if there is no further questions or comments or anything, do I have a motion for agenda item number 4?
I have a comment. You're praising us, but this is a teamwork, ma'am. It's not only,
Yes, it is.
It is a teamwork from point A to point Z. So.
Yes, it is. And that's why we're an A-rated school district.
I so move, Madam, to approve. That's item number 4, you said? I don't have an agenda.
Item number 4, yes.
Item number 4 as presented.
Mr. Salinas, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Sines. So I have a motion by Mr. Salinas, a second by Mr. Sines. All those in favor, if no further discussion, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All
Aye.
those against? I didn't see Mr. Perez. Is he still on? He's still on, and he voted for?
Yes.
So we have 6 for, 1 absent, no one abstaining, motion passes. Thank you. And then we have agenda item number 5, adjournment.
I so move to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mr. Moreno, a second
Second
by
it.
Mr. Sines. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 6 for it, 1 absent, 0 abstaining, motion passes. Meeting adjourned at 5:30. And again, thank you to everyone that, again, this was a Saturday. This was a called meeting that I'm not sure if there's ever been Saturday meetings, but just like Mr. Garza says, going forward, if there's going to be more meetings that we need to call, we should be ready, Mr. Garza and Mr. Guzman, at any time make ourselves available to do what we need to do. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Likewise.
Thank you.